Hey, Nat here with BTN News Break. Coming up today, we'll find out why everyone's talking about the moon. Americans get creative to celebrate Halloween safely. And a British daredevil jumps out of a helicopter without a parachute. But before all that, why don't you do us a favour and hit that subscribe button. Today, everyone's been talking about the moon. You see, NASA's made a really exciting discovery about it that could be a big deal for future astronauts.
Yep, a few days ago, NASA dropped some hints about an exciting new discovery on the moon. And boy, oh boy, did people have their theories. Is it haunted? Is it made of cheese? Does it hit your eye like a big pizza pie? Well, surprisingly, it was none of those.
And what they have found is water, liquid water glinting back at us essentially from the surface of the moon.
Using their SOFIA infrared telescope, they picked up evidence of water molecules which they think are trapped in lunar glass and soil. They'd always suspected there might be frozen water in the dark polar areas, but liquid water in the sunlit parts, well, that's a game changer, even if it is just a small amount.
They've measured something around 100 parts per million of water. If I wanted to add 100 parts per million of water to myself, that's basically a teaspoon's worth of water, right? So we're not talking too much water, but there's a lot of the moon, and that, of course, adds up to a lot of teaspoons worth.
There's a chance future astronauts could use that water to drink, grow crops, and even refuel their rockets.
So the moon has become a resupply station and a refueling station for our further expansion through the solar system, and that's why everyone is so excited by even just that little water.
Keep the donuts coming, Victoria, because you've had another 0 day. Get it? Because they kind of look like zeros. There were no new cases of coronavirus and no deaths again overnight, and people are celebrating.
In my opinion, it's kind of like freedom.
It's amazing that we've gone from 700 high 700s to 0 in just like 2 months or something.
Shops and restaurants have spent the day getting ready for tomorrow's big opening. And the premiers announced that from tomorrow, people will be able to have visitors in their own homes. But only once a day, and only up to 2 adults and their kids at a time. Someone else who's celebrating is Taylor Swift, who's become the only artist in 2020 to sell 1 million copies of an album. Folklore was recorded entirely in lockdown and released as a surprise in August. And it's been a hit. More than 1 million people have bought the whole album, which is getting more and more unusual as more of us stream our music. Halloween is nearly here. Ooh. As you might know, it's a really big deal in the US, and some people over there have been coming up with clever ways of making sure the trick-or-treating stays COVID safe.
Yep, Halloween is just around the corner, and these kids have been taking things to the next level. Trick-or-treating is a big part of Halloween, but the US is having some big problems battling COVID, so going door to door to get candy isn't such a great idea.
It's a big holiday, so if we cancel it, everybody's just going to be really bummed out.
So these guys have come up with a socially distanced alternative.
Called the COVID-safe candy slide. Jinx!
Yep, that's right, a candy slide. It's a very 2020 invention, which means kids can get their candy without having to make contact with anyone. The idea has been adopted by a few households, along with some other COVID-safe ideas.
I know there's some neighbors who plan to have baskets, like at the end of their driveway, on tables.
I'm going to be with 2 of my friends, socially distancing. We're all going to have masks, and we're all going to say trick-or-treat at each house.
So even with everything that's going on in the world, there's still ways to have some spooky fun.
Trick-or-treating would really bring some spirit back to us. Like, hope that this will be all over pretty soon.
Now, as we daredevils like to say, don't try this at home, kids, because these next stories are full of professional daredevils. Urgh. Play the tape. Like this daredevil from the UK who calls himself the Flying Fish. He's a former paratrooper and just set a new record for jumping 40 metres from a helicopter with no parachute. Wow, seriously, do not try this one at home, even if you do have a helicopter. Don't worry, he's fine, but he was taken to hospital for a checkup. Meanwhile, in China, some daredevils on wheels have taken on the slopes of Jiangsu Mountain. They were competing in a 2-day downhill racing tournament for longboards and rollerblades, reaching speeds of up to 100 k's an hour as they took on the twists and turns, with no brakes. And finally, to a daring Channel 9 reporter that had to carry on in the face of an unexpected bird attack. Ow! Looks painful, but he recovered just in time to get on air. And that's why I wear a helmet. Well, that's all from us today. In the meantime, why don't you hit subscribe to join the BTN crew, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Again!